Good morning, Dr. Nitin. I'm here.
Good morning, Professor Sangeeta. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
You can hear us and see us?
Yeah, I can see you. And yeah, as I said, because of the other meeting parallelly, which is happening.
I know. Yeah. Professor Patnaik, you can hear us and see us?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, sir. I know that you were also in a meeting.
Yes. I'll be
Sorry, I
there
think.
for a few minutes. Yes. Are you able to see? Are you able to get the video from this side, Professor Nitin? You are able to hear, right?
No. I'm not able to see you.
There is some problem with video. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But audio is okay.
Okay, I think we should begin. It's 11 o'clock. So let me, yeah. So on behalf of NIAS Consciousness Studies Program, I welcome you all to this open public defense of Harikrishnan's PhD, followed by his Viva Voce examination. Hello. Yeah, we are back. Sorry for this. It was a technical glitch. Microsoft decided to restart, update its software at the right time or the wrong time. I hope all of you can hear us and see me.
Yes.
Start. Okay, so yeah, so I welcome you all once again to Hari's open PhD defense, followed by his examination. So I think in this era of artificial intelligence, we know that ANN's artificial neural networks are the king, right? And deep learning is the buzzword. So in that context, I think Hari's work is very refreshingly different and creative, and as an alternative to the existing architectures of learning. So we will listen to him in a few minutes. But before that, I have the pleasure of inviting the external examiner for today, Professor Archana Mathur. Thank you for accepting the invitation and coming today. Dr. Archana is currently working as Associate Professor at Nitte Meenakshi Institute of Technology. Her past experience includes working as technical lead at Cinepia Technologies Bangalore and as a researcher at ISI Bangalore. She has also worked as technical lead in Skybase project at the Center for Applied Mathematical Modeling and Simulation. Archana has received her PhD degree under VTU in scientometrics and machine learning. She received her master's in engineering and web technologies, computer science from UVC Bangalore. She is associated as guest faculty with the University of Rwanda African Center of Excellence in Data Science for teaching courses on machine learning. She is also an associate editor of the Journal of Scientometrics Research and a senior member of the IEEE. So thank you, Archana, for coming today. And so now I'll hand it over to Harikrishnan. So he will present his thesis work in around 45 minutes, following which we will open it for question answers. Over to you, Hari. Let me first share my screen. Yeah, it's recording. First of all, respected examiner Professor Archana and my advisor Dr. Nitin Nagaraj and all the dear audience, both offline and online. So the title of my PhD dissertation is Investigations into Learning Algorithms in Intelligent Machines. So let's get started. So whether you know it or not, all of you are using AI technology today. But if you go back in time, right, the quest for developing intelligent machines is not a new one. So in 1950, Alan Turing asked a profound question: can machines think? And it was published in his phenomenal paper titled Computing Machinery and Intelligence. It was published in the journal Mind. So where he developed the Turing test, which is a test to determine whether a machine is capable of showing intelligent behavior. Following that, John McCarthy in 1955 coined the term AI. Along with that, Marvin Minsky, Rochester, Claude Shannon, they first organized the first summer research project on AI. Now, to put everything in context, today what is AI? AI can be seen as an anarchy of methods. Like when I say anarchy of method, so it can be categorized into three bins.
So one is symbolic AI, which is the goal is to replicate the rational part of human being. The other is machine learning, develop algorithms that can learn from data. The third is sub-symbolic AI, which is nothing but the brain-inspired learning or biology-driven learning, where all the neural networks, deep learning algorithms comes in the sub-symbolic AI, decision tree, random forest, k-nearest neighbors, support vector machines comes in a regime of machine learning. Now question is, why are we so fascinated about brain-inspired AI? So that means there's something to do with the brain, right? If you look at the brain science, right, the brain can be seen as the ultimate machine. And why is it so? If you look at the human brain, right, human brain is a highly complex system. There's nearly 86 billion neurons, and they're connected to each other to form a complex network. And the neurons in the brain exhibit different kinds of firing patterns, ranging from periodic to chaotic. And surprisingly, the neuronal noise in the subthalamic regions in the brain, right, is in the range minus 29 dB to 20 dB. That is, it's a very high SNR, right? And still we are able to make sense of the world. So, and despite all this complexity, the neural computational power is roughly around 12.6 watts. So this is inspiration, right? There's a rich source of inspiration for developing new types of algorithms, architectures, which are independent and complementary to the mathematics and logic-based methods. The second point is, like, neuroscience can provide a validation of AI techniques that are already existing. So now if you go to the core of the current learning algorithm, let's say deep learning, what is the core? It's the neuron, right? Artificial neuron. If you look at the neuron in an ANN, right, essentially it is a affine transformation followed by nonlinearity. There is no inherent nonlinearity at the level of neuron. There is an affine transformation, and nonlinearity is applied on top of that. It is a single, and the output is a single value. But whereas in the case of biological neural networks, right, the neurons exhibits firing patterns, and these firing patterns ranges from periodic to chaotic. So the neurons are modeled as chaotic dynamical systems, and that is absent in the current learning algorithms. So there are these two very beautiful papers. Is there Chaos in the Brain 1 and 2? There are experimental evidence of chaotic behavior found at the different spatio-temporal scales in the brain. So it's very essential for like our work. And so now, what is chaos? Let me just quickly get into that. So the general notion of public is that chaos means randomness, but chaos, according to chaos theory, that is not true. A dynamical system D, which is a transformation from X to X, where T is a map from set X onto itself, is chaotic if it satisfies the following three properties. If a dynamical system satisfies the following three properties, then it is called chaotic as per Robert Devaney, the Devaney's definition of chaos. So the first one is the periodic points in D are dense, D is topologically transitive, D is sensitive to initial conditions. So let me just give you what does it actually mean. So a chaotic dynamical system is deterministic, but at the same time is unpredictable, because it is because unpredictability is because of the fact that there is sensitive dependence on initial condition. The initial conditions are slightly changed. Your predictions will be completely different. Your trajectory will be completely different. The path will be different. For example, you can see here in the graph, there are two initial conditions, 0.9 and 0.9001. And the dynamical system that I'm interested in is a logistic map. It's a chaotic map. And you can see, right, the initial conditions are almost the same, but as you go in time, you can see the divergence in the trajectory, right? So that's called sensitive dependence on initial condition. The chaotic system is bounded, non-linear, iterative. It looks like randomness, but at the same but at the same time, it can exhibit like it can have a chaotic dynamical system has countably infinite number of periodic orbits, uncountably infinite number of non-periodic orbits, and finally, it exhibits a property called topological transitivity. So what that means is that a chaotic dynamical system has universal orbits. Basically, if you are in that orbit, right, you can visit the neighborhood of any point in the system. So it has universal orbit. So roughly, having said that, now we can go to the research and development gap between the current ANNs and the biological neural networks. As I said earlier, the mathematical operation that is carried out in the current ANN, that's for a neuron, is nothing but an affine transformation followed by nonlinearity. Whereas in the case of biological neural networks, there is an inherent nonlinearity which is present at the level of neuron. That is very important. Inherent nonlinear level of neurons. And that enables the neurons to exhibit different kinds of behavior, ranging from chaotic to periodic. The current deep learning architectures do not exhibit chaotic behavior at the neuronal level for classification. Whereas in the case of biological neural networks, chaos is there at different spatio-temporal scales at the level of network of neuron, level of individual neurons. And If you add noise to the parameters of neural networks, it is a catastrophic failure. No? So whereas the biological neural networks are robust to noise and interference. And in the case of ANNs, you need a huge amount of data for training, whereas in the case of biological neural networks, it can learn from limited training samples. So we are going to highlight, in the sense, focus on the following, the highlighted points. Nonlinear level of neuron exhibit chaotic behavior and learning from limited samples. So let's get into the research objectives. The first one, to propose a novel brain-inspired learning algorithm that uses chaos and stochastic resonance at the level of individual neurons for classification. So I will explain SR, stochastic resonance, in the coming slides. Learning from limited training samples to boost the performance of machine learning algorithm in the low training sample regime. So by incorporating chaos-based features. So we use chaos-based features to boost the performance of the learning algorithms. Then cause-effect preservation. To support preservation of the inherent cause-effect structure in the data under chaotic feature transformation of the proposed brain-inspired learning algorithm. So interpretability is a very big thing in the AI community. So to interpret an algorithm, we need to have algorithms which are causally informed. So we are moving towards that direction. So to show that, we need to have this cause-effect preservation property. Then the application, to rigorously test the proposed brain-inspired learning algorithm for both simulated and real-world datasets pertaining to medical diagnosis, banknote fraud detection, environmental application, and spoken digit classification. Yeah, the methodology that we use is standard machine learning methodology. Like you have the training, you have the entire data, you split it into training and testing. Then as you know that, like, there is no perfect algorithm. So then that means every algorithm has a set of hyperparameters which has to be tuned. So we use this k-fold cross-validation to tune the set of hyperparameters. And once the hyperparameters are tuned, then we will test it only once. Test it only once for test data and report the result. And the measures that we use are derived from the confusion metrics, like accuracy, precision, recall, FN score, etc. Then we compare with the state of the art, other like benchmark. We compare with other ML algorithms on the benchmark datasets to know where we stand. So let me get into the neurochaos learning, the heart of my PhD thesis. So this is the neurochaos learning architecture. So as you see here, the architecture has three parts. One is the feature transformation part. The second part, the feature extraction part, and the third is the classification part. So in the architecture, you can see that there are inputs, right? X1, X2, etc., Xn, and we call it as the stimulus. So it can be a normalized speech signal or a normalized image. So basically, this is the input of our interest, like. And C1, C2, C3, etc., Cn, right? They are the chaotic neurons. No, they are the chaotic maps or neurons. And the question is, what happens? Let's say the chaotic neuron C1 encounters an input, say X1. What will happen then? What will happen at that time? The moment C1 encounters X1, right? C1 starts firing from an initial neural activity of 2 units, and C1 continues firing and stops firing when it recognizes the stimulus. So now let me take some time explaining what is the C1. The C1 is a chaotic map or a neuron. The chaotic map that we used in our work is the generalized Lureth series. It's a piecewise linear map. The skew10 map that you see here on the right side is an example of generalized Lureth series. So the equation is as follows: x by b for 0 less than x less than b, and 1 minus x by 1 minus b for b less than x less than 1. The interesting property of GLS neuron, this skew10 map, is that it exhibits chaos for all values of b. So it's robust chaos. And GLS neurons has been used in chaotic cryptography, and also it has been used in building logical circuits, like logic gates, like AND or XOR operations. Yeah, so it's a very simple looking map, but at the same time they exhibit very complicated behaviors, complex behaviors. Yeah, so C1 is the skew10 map is the chaotic neuron that we have used here. So now let's see a stimulus, say the red dot that you see here, right? Let's say that is a stimulus, and the value of the stimulus is, let's say, 0.92. It can be one value from a time series. And now what happens? Let's say the neuron C1 encounters the stimulus, say 0.92. As I mentioned earlier, every neuron has an initial neural activity of, say, 2 units. It's a resting state. Neuron has a resting potential, right? So in this example, it's 0.35. The moment the stimulus comes, the neuron starts firing, and it stops firing when it reaches the epsilon neighborhood of the stimulus. So these are very important terms: epsilon, q, and so the moment this trajectory reaches the epsilon neighborhood of the stimulus, that means then the trajectory halts, the firing halts. So now there is one more parameter called B, which is called the discrimination threshold, the green dotted line that you see here, which is nothing but the parameter of the map. The parameter that you see over here, right? That is the discrimination threshold, which actually controls the degree of chaos. Using B, you can actually control the degree of chaos. Now that means for a given value, right? Given stimulus, you're having a trajectory, full trajectory. Now that's a rich information. For a single value, you're having a big trajectory, right? Now from this trajectory, you can extract features like firing time, firing rate, energy, entropy, etc. So firing time is nothing but the time taken by the chaotic neural trace to recognize a stimulus. So in this case, you can see that takes around 29 milliseconds to recognize a stimulus. So that's a firing time. Firing rate is nothing but a fraction of time the chaotic neural trace is above the discrimination threshold. So you can see here the green dotted line, right? The fraction of time that this neural trace is above that green dotted line. Now the third is energy. So energy is you can see that L2 norm square of this trajectory. So and then the fourth one is Shannon entropy. So entropy is computed on the symbolic sequence of this trajectory. So this trajectory can be converted into a sequence of symbols, let's say 0 and 1, based on whether it lies below the discrimination threshold or above the discrimination threshold. If it is below, you map it to 0. If it is above, you map it to 1, and then find the Shannon entropy. So these are the 4 features we're extracting from the neurochaos learning architecture. So now we have seen the feature transformation part, feature extraction part, and the third part is the classification part. Now there are 2 flavors of NL. One is chaos net, and the second one is chaos CFX plus ML that you can see here. So chaos net is here, and you can have CFX plus ML. So chaos net uses a very simplistic decision rule, cosine similarity. So basically, let's say you have 3 classes. Okay. So for each class, you do the feature transformation, extract these features, firing time, firing rate, energy, entropy, and find the mean representation vector. For each class, find a mean representation vector of firing time, firing rate, energy, entropy, and then you use a cosine similarity classifier. So given a test data, you find out these features and do the cosine similarity and then classify. It's a very simplistic classifier. And the second one is a little bit sophisticated, like CFX plus ML, where it's a hybrid architecture where we pass these features to ML algorithms, like division tree, random forest, naive Bayes. So we can pass these features to ML algorithms. And so we have tested our method on several real-world datasets and simulated datasets. So you can see here that I think there are 13 datasets here and simulated 4 simulated datasets. So we will be moving on to how this the performance of the method on different datasets. So let me just first talk about the kind of data that we use. So we use a different varieties of data, starting from iris, which is a classification of three different kinds of iris plants, then to spoken digit data, which is time series data. So let me explain you the first row. So the first row is the data set name, that's the iris. Classes equal to 3. That means there are 3 different types of classes. In the sense iris versicolor, iris virginica. One more class is here, I don't recall now. And there are 4 features, like there are the sepal length, petal length, and sepal width and petal width. These are 4 features which are measured in centimeters. And the number of training samples per class are 40, 41, and 39 per class. And the number of testing samples per class are 10, 9, and 11. So this is how, and you can follow the same structure for the understanding the remaining portion of this table. Now, let me just explain you the performance of ChaosNet. So as I said earlier, ChaosNet is a very simplistic architecture. So with just ChaosNet, we are getting like 100% accuracy, or like FN score equal to macro FN score equal to 1 with just ChaosNet. And subsequently you can see how ChaosNet performs for IONOS, in the case of ionosphere, wine, Banyan authentication, Habermas survival. And we have also compared with standalone machine learning algorithms like decision tree, random forest, AdaBoost, support vector machine, k nearest neighbors, Gaussian naive Bayes. And also we have also used hybrid architectures, like passing the CFX features to the standalone algorithms. So a summary of this can be understood from this figure that is provided below. So in the y-axis, you have macro FN score. X-axis is the number of algorithms. So you have 13 algorithms. And you can see, right? For example, let me just take AdaBoost to explain this graph. If you look at the performance of AdaBoost for FSDD is a free spoken digit dataset. It's a time series dataset of spoken digits. It's a 10-class classification problem. So standalone AdaBoost performance, you can see it's around somewhere around 0.1, right? So by adding CFX features, you can see a performance boost to the AdaBoost. So this is what it means, no? CFX plus AB means CFX followed by the Adabus classifier. Similarly, you can see in the case of SVM, right? Standalone, by adding like CFX features, the performance of SVM has improved, right? But you can also see other results where standalone differentiation tree is performing better, but by adding CFX features, the performance has reduced. So also different scenarios are possible. Yeah. Now let's give a summary of the overall results. So this table actually contains the overall comparative performance of different algorithms in the high training sample regime. So we used 80% data for training and 20% for testing. So let me again explain to you the first row. So you have the data set name, iris. What is our FN score provided by the standalone chaosnet? That is, like in this case, it is 1. And what is the best algorithm? So in this case, chaosnet, random forest, k nearest neighbors, CFX plus decision tree, CFX plus random forest, all gave a performance of 1, like high performance. Now let me now what is this thing in the bracket? That let's say CFX plus DT 3.41%. It's the boost. So the equation for the boost is provided above. So after using ChaosFlex features, how much performance difference is there? How much performance boost I have obtained? So that is what it means. So there is a 3.41 boost after using the CFX features. Now let me go into ionosphere, right? So ionosphere, chaosnet is giving 0.860, whereas CFX plus KNN is giving a performance boost of 14.37%. So in total, out of 9 data set, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of in 5 cases where ChaosFlex is helping in improving the performance, the features, ChaosFlex features. So similarly, we have tried in the low training sample regime as well. So this table summarizes the performance of like NL in the low training sample regime. The overall performance boost using CFX features in the low training sample regime. A tick refers to a performance boost of ML algorithm after using CFX features. So we report a minimum and maximum of boost values for these instances. So you can see in the case of ionosphere, Haberman survival, a StatLog, seeds, and FSDD, we can see a performance boost using CFX features. So yeah. Now the interesting part, like in the sense, why does neurochaos learning work? The why part of the thesis. No? So yeah, so it has to do something with the epsilon that I have mentioned earlier, right? So I have mentioned that the neuron stops firing when it reaches the epsilon neighborhood of the stimulus, right? So let's go and revisit that epsilon. There's something, epsilon has to say something very, very interesting. So let me, yeah. So what is this epsilon? So this trajectory, right? Let's say this trajectory reaches 0.92 minus epsilon, comma 0.92 plus epsilon. If it reaches inside this in the sense interval, it stops firing. Now, what happens if epsilon is almost if epsilon is 0? There is no in the sense there is no uncertainty, right? If epsilon is 0, yeah, that means what I'm asking is like I need to exactly hit on my stimulus. I need to exactly detect 0.92. But if you ask this question, it's actually not possible, right? It's like probability is 0 to exactly get 0.92. So a 0 noise, that means epsilon can be actually seen as a noise. When epsilon is 0, the algorithm will never halt. It will keep on going. But epsilon is too high, then you're asking for a very noisy detection of the stimulus, the highly noisy detection of the stimulus. So, but it will detect in very fewer number of iterations. But there is an epsilon which is between this 0 and the high value. There's an intermediate value of epsilon for which we get a peak performance. That means there is an intermediate value of noise intensity for which the algorithm will give a peak performance. And this phenomena of noise enhanced detection or noise enhanced signal processing or classification is called stochastic resonance. And surprisingly, this is also another phenomenon that's found in the brain. So in nerve cells, there are so many research is there, you can check it up. So yeah, the definition of SR is that a phenomena where the presence of internal noise or external input noise in a nonlinear system provides a better system response to a certain input signal. That means noise enhanced performance boost for the system. And remember, not all nonlinear systems exhibit SR. Only certain nonlinear systems exhibit SR. So it turns out that in our case, like our system, the NL exhibits SR. So there's a visual representation of SR in NL. So you can see the red line, right, that you see in the first figure is the stimulus. When you're adding noise to the stimulus. And in the second graph, you can see the mean firing time and mean firing time of class 0 and class 1. So there is a binary classification problem. So and you can see that as you vary the noise intensity, right? In the third graph, you can see the performance of the average accuracy versus noise intensity. So you can see that for an intermediate value of noise, there's a maximal separation between the features, the firing times, intermediate value of noise. And for that particular value of noise, we have a peak performance. So this phenomena is called like SR, and we are able to observe in our method. And then we have also tested on the sense other real world data, in the sense, yeah, FSDD data set as well. So there also we can see, we can observe this local and global SR. No? For several values of noise intensities, we see a peak performance. So in this example, yeah, for Q equal to 0.3, for discrimination threshold equal to 0.49, and noise intensity equal to 0.178, we get a maximum, macro average reference score of 0.911 in 5-fold cross validation. Similarly, the same phenomenon has observed for CFX plus ML algorithms as well. So this is for, earlier I was talking about chaos-net, right? What about CFX plus ML? There also we can see the same phenomena, like SR phenomena. Like you can see a local and a global SR. So here also we for a noise intensity of 0.265, we obtain an average macro reference score of 0.991. So yeah. Now let me quickly get into the properties of NL. So the first important property that we proved in our thesis is that NL satisfies a version of universal approximation theorem. So if let f of n be a discrete time real valued function having a finite length L, support L, the NL architecture consisting of a single layer with L chaotic neurons. This is very important. L, the value L is very important. Chaotic neurons can approximate f of n. So this is very different from the universal approximation theorem of in the sense proved by Saibenko for the artificial neural networks, because here we have a bound to the number of neurons. We need L neurons to approximate a function of finite support length L. We need L. We have bound to the number of neurons to approximate the function. So yeah. So now NL supports biological neuronal models. So we tried using Hind-Marshall's neural model. It's a biological neuronal model inspired from the neuronal firing of a neuron in a pond snail. Okay, of pond snail's neuronal firing patterns. They tried to model it, and this neuronal model exhibits chaos for certain values of the parameters. And we found that we can use biological neuronal models as well in NL. But the only thing is, like in this case, if you can't implement this, the computational complexity will be high. In the sense, there are 3 differential equations. So yeah. So that's why we were preferring to like maps, like 1D maps, chaotic maps. Now there are other properties of NL, like performance boost in learning from limited training sample using NL features. The flexibility of NL supports development of hybrid NL and ML models. Like as I said earlier, so as in you develop new machine learning models, you can easily incorporate, easily club these things. You can just pass NL features and new ML models. So in that sense, it is flexible. So now NL architecture is robust to additive parametric noise. So I have shown this in my chapter 6 of my thesis, where if you add noise to the parameters of a let's say deep neural network, like a weights and bias, and you add noise to the mean representation vectors of NL, so you can see that the performance of neural network degrades very quickly, whereas the performance degradation in NL is less compared to the rate of degradation is less basically. Now, NL exhibits SR at the level of individual as well as layer of neurons. In the context of continued learning, the rate of catastrophic forgetting in NL is much less compared to DL algorithm. So if you look at humans, right, we always learn, right? We continuously learn. Let's say I learned driving skills. Let's say I went 2 years I didn't drive, but still I can do that, right? Still I can do that. So we don't forget when new tasks are coming, right? But whereas in the case of deep neural network, right, they face this problem called catastrophic forgetting. Let's say once they learn the new task, later they adapt it to another task in learning, they will forget what it has learned before. So now we actually tried seeing the extent of catastrophic forgetting for NL and DL, and we were able to see that even though NL also has catastrophic forgetting, but the rate is less. So that seems to be a promising direction to look for developing bio-inspired learning algorithms. Now the features extracted from the input layer of NL preserves the inherent cause-effect structure in time series data. So if there is a cause-effect structure in the time series data, under chaotic transformation, that structure is still preserved. Whereas that is not the case with deep neural networks. So if you pass it to the layers, that structure is destroyed. So this we were able to show it in one of our paper. Yeah. So to the key contributions in the thesis are developed a brain-inspired learning algorithm, namely neurochaos learning, that uses chaos and stochastic resonance fundamentally at the level of neurons. And the capability, what are the capabilities? NL, capability to address nonlinearity and chaos at neuronal level. Capability to preserve cause-effect relationship in the input data under chaotic feature transformation. Capability to learn from limited and imbalanced data. Capability to satisfy universal approximation theorem with a bound on the number of chaotic neurons to approximate a discrete time finite support function. Capability to exhibit stochastic resonance, which is integral to simulating the behavior in brain. Capability to incorporate chaotic biological neuronal models in NL. And finally, capability to combine NL with traditional ML for realizing improved performance. So these are the main key contributions of this thesis. And to conclude, chaos is ubiquitous in the brain. So I think for the first time, practically, we were showing how chaos can be used in ML, machine learning. And we believe that there's a lot of work to be done more. Like this is a promising direction. And but there's a performance boost in the low training sample regime using chaos-based features. With 9 samples per class, we obtain an FN score in the range 0.6 to 0.98 for the various datasets that we saw there. And there is no backpropagation. Like deep neural networks heavily depend on backpropagation, right? There is no backpropagation. There are only very few hyperparameters if you're looking for a chaos-net architecture. Remember, if you're going for other architectures, then you have to take into account of like CFX plus ML hyperparameters as well. So there are Q, B, epsilon, 3 hyperparameters if you're going for a basic NL architecture, chaos-net. Noise and chaos interact in NL to produce stochastic resonance. Going forward, yeah, we want to develop, like we are looking forward developing low SNR machine learning, like in heterogeneous neurons in NL. Like what if right now all the neurons are the same, right? GLS maps, like Sqt map, right? What if we have different kinds of neurons, different neurons in the NL? No, that is something that we want to explore. Then enrich AI with nonlinear physics and neuroscience. Possible applications are neuromorphic computing, edge application, few-shot learning, continual learning. So now let me get into the questions raised by the thesis examiner. First of all, I thank the thesis examiners for summarizing and reviewing my PhD dissertation titled Investigations in Learning Algorithms in Intelligent Machines. In the revised dissertation, the revision suggested by the examiners are incorporated. The first one is that I think chapter 6 properties of neurochaos learning needs to be seen again. The chapter states this chapter investigates the properties of NL, and it seems to me that there is information missing in the chapter. So we have incorporated now the proof of universal approximation theorem satisfied by NL, and also a summary of the performance boost using NL in the low training sample regime for 9 benchmark dataset has also been included in chapter 6. Then the second part was regarding the codes. So now we have made all the codes are available public, so you can access all these codes. You can try it out. The reviewer one has no questions, so thank. Examiner one has no questions. So yeah. Now let me get into the list of publications. So there are 3 journal publications. The first one actually discusses about the stochastic resonance like property in NL. The second one talks about the basic chaos-net architecture. The third one is an application of NL for the classification of genome sequences, like SARS-CoV-2 and SARS-CoV-1 genome sequence, like coronavirus genome sequence. Then the list of publications, like conference proceedings and presentations. So this is the recently accepted one, the first one, causality preserving chaotic transformation and classification using neurochaos learning, where we show this cause-effect preservation property of NL. Then we have a novel chaos theory inspired neural architecture, and there are 4 conference proceedings, and this one is in the pipeline, like neurochaos feature transformation and classification for imbalanced learning. So now there are other researchers who have used NL and developed it further. So they have adopted NL for the continual learning framework. So they have developed something called chaotic continual learning, like use NL in that framework basically. And there's another group that used chaos-net for action recognition in video. So they combined chaos-net with LSTM. So you can look at these research, and these packages are available like publicly, so you can try it out. You can develop your own NL. So to conclude, first and foremost, I would like to thank my advisor, Dr. Nitin Nagraj, without whom I don't think this work would have possible. And I am really grateful to him for the time and energy and his support that he gave me. And so that is then I want to thank Professor Sankita Menon. So in the sense that, I was able to come to NIAS because of this project and because of this NIAS CSP like Tata Trust project. So I thank ma'am for giving me this opportunity. And also there are several programs that has happened in NIAS, like reading class presentations. So where like in the sense ma'am has given us opportunity to like develop our skills, like public speaking skills, etc. So thank ma'am, and I thank NIAS, thank the Data Trust project. So I thank my doctoral advisory committee, Professor L.M. Patnaik, Professor Sangeeta Menon, Dr. Snehanshu Saha, Dr. Nitin Nagaraj. Like their valuable comments have always helped me, and they have always encouraged me in going forward in life. I thank all of them. And my lab mates, Dr. Aditi Katpalia, Dr. Pranay, Rampriya, Anand Ganesh, Kripa, Shweta, Nikita, Vaishali. I also thank the research interns Diksha Sethi, who has with whom we have done very good work, and Darshan Bharadwaj. I thank Mr. Ravi Kumar Ji from Devi sir from TDU. And I also thank Professor B.V. Srikatan, who was an inspiring figure like for all of us, who was the founder of NIAS CSP. I also thank NIAS Director, Professor Shailesh Nayak, entire NIAS fraternity, NIAS CSP team, faculties and friends at NIAS, and friends outside NIAS, like some of already joined, Manoj, Harikumar, Nagesh, Murali, Meka, Akif, Rahul, Anuja, Dr. Sahasranand. My mentors, Dr. KP Soman, Dr. Sundar Raman Gopalan, Gayatri Narayanan, Sriram Nandakumar, Dr. Vinay Kumar, who are instrumental for me to go for take up my higher studies, inspired me to do research. I thank all of them. I thank my family, my parents, brother and sister-in-law. Thank you very much.
Stop the screen. Yeah, thank you, Hari, for an excellent presentation of the work that you have done. So the protocol is now that I'll first request Professor Archana to ask the questions that you can come here and ask so that it can be recorded. And then Hari can answer those questions, and then we will open it up for the DAC committee members and then the larger public. Over to you, Archana.
So, thank you, Nitin. Hari, I really appreciate your work, fundamental piece of work. And I mean, if I really have to say, then most of the work that we people do in machine learning is just picking up a machine learning algorithm, plug in some database, and we just see how is it doing. It's doing good or not. What you are doing or what you have done is you have actually seen and make a neuron to work, extracting the features, extracting the actual characteristics of a neuron, and then plugging it with machine learning algorithm to basically see whether it is working or not, which is fundamental. Beautiful. Nitin, wonderful piece of work. All your efforts, I can see a lot of energy. Though I have few questions in my mind, this is plainly because of the curiosity that I have. I was very closely looking at the work that you have done. Basically, Bahari, this is out of curiosity. I just want to know how you have used the skew tent map that you have used. The parameter B, I'm curious about it. I want you to give me a few more insights about how did you come up with the value of B for a specific data set? I think it's a very simple question, but I'm still curious because I might use it in my own research somewhere deep down. So that's my first question. Second question would be, have you tried using a neural network? I think you have tried using a neural network. Can you give me a few more insights about it? And third question, we'll see. I mean, I'll see if I have a few more questions in my mind, but these are the two things which I'm just curious about. So over to you, Hari.
The parameter value, that is B in the skew tent map. So the B value actually controls the degree of chaos. So if the value of B is, let's say, like if you look at the Lyapunov exponent, right, it follows the entropy function. It's like minus pi log of pi, right? So it follows the entropy function. So if the B value is between, let's say, around 0.5, it has this is highly chaotic. The B value is less than the other sides, just like log chaos, but still the Lyapunov exponent will be positive. Okay. Now the thing is, like in our work, we were still not able to figure out how the degree of chaos like affects the learning. That is something it's a meta work. In the sense, we need to get into that work. But right now we are seeing B as a hyperparameters. So what we do is like we do a grid search and do cross validation to find out the value of B. Yeah.
So for each data.
For each data set. Yeah.
You would have done that. Oh, that's
But we need to uncover a relationship. There's maybe something more fundamental, but we have not found anything.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no pattern between degree of chaos and learning. At least so far, we didn't find any pattern.
I couldn't find any pattern so far. So
learning this parameter would be the next
Yeah,
step.
because right now it's just a brute force grid search, which is not the most intelligent way of doing it.
Yeah.
Which is
But it works.
Yeah. No, wonderful. This is wonderful. But I think this opens a horizon for people to start moving the direction of how to come up with the best value.
Yeah.
Principle,
Correct.
principle way of.
Yeah. The other thing also we were trying to think is like right now we don't have an optimization rule, right? Optimization is an objective function to optimize. Maybe that is also something we are thinking. Now, can we have an objective function where the objective function will take care of finding the right B? In the sense, minimizing the. So we are yet to like. Since we're thinking about those directions, let's see how it goes. Yeah. So that is one. The second question is we have tried using neural network. For example, in our paper, like causality, preserving chaotic transformation, and classification using chaos learning, we applied 1D CNN, LSTM, a 5-layer deep neural network, and compared with NL for the classification of like time series generated from a master-slave coupled, like chaotic like maps. So basically, you have a master and you have a slave. The master drives the behavior of the slave. So master is the cause and the slave is the effect. So you have time series data, and it's a binary classification problem where we found that NL was outperforming like deep neural network in several values of coupling coefficient. Okay. And but one interesting thing is that there are instances where 1D CNN has outperformed NL. That is there are instances where deep neural network have outperformed NL for certain values of coupling coefficient. But the interesting thing here, we had to note that none of these algorithms preserve cause-effect relationship. So what exactly it is learning? See, saying that an algorithm is able to classify does not mean that it preserves cause-effect relationships. So that's what we were showing that. So an algorithm which can successfully classify a time series as a cause and effect, but that doesn't mean that it has preserved that cause-effect relationship till the last layer. So there's one more thing which I want to. Yeah.
So, suppose that you have used the decision tree, you have used anthropology, light-based learning. You would have used neural network also.
Yes.
One hidden there, or two hidden there.
In the sense of CFX plus neural network.
Yeah, CFX plus.
Yeah, right. In the sense, at least I have done some work which I haven't published. In the sense, yeah.
My hunch is that probably, if you're using two hidden there,
it
might not, but in one hidden there, it's going to give you some really good.
Okay.
So my hunch was that
Yeah. You have to try it out. Yeah.
I think I'm done. No, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hari. Thank you, Archana. Okay, we'll open it up for the DAC members. I see that Professor Patnaik is online and Professor Sangeeta is online. Professor Patnaik, sir, do you want to have any questions, clarifications, any comments you want to make, sir?
I have nothing to add. We have discussed enough during DAC. My congratulations for the excellent piece of work to Dr. Hari and to Dr. Nitin. Okay? Yes.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Professor Sangeeta, please go ahead.
Yeah, first, can you hear me, Dr. Nitin? I'm extremely sorry for being here. As I told you, I have another parallel meeting which is going on, and it was completely unexpected. But this is a major work from NIAS Consciousness Studies program supervised by Professor Nitin Nagaraj and Harikrishnan NB. We have been watching his work with a lot of admiration the last 4 years. It's amazing how much commitment he has to this area and to also bring in interdisciplinarity and to raise questions perhaps in a different manner, I think, as the chairperson of this committee was mentioning. So it's amazing creative work, but I also wish to particularly thank Professor Nitin Nagaraj for the mentoring he has done, So I remember how he goes for the walks around IAC, and we have many times we have met there at the walk. So it's really a fortune for someone to receive a supervisor like Professor Nitin Nagaraj, and also to a student like Harikrishnan NB. I have one question, but I think I'll discuss with him later, which is what is he planning for the future research. And of course, now he is in the very prestigious institute, Bitspilani. But is he going to take up this work further? And I'm sure he has a lot of publications. So I guess the answer would be yes. So hearty congratulations to Hari and all the people who have assembled there, and also to the chairperson of this committee. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Sagita. I'll ask Hari to respond to you. You can tell what you're up to now these days.
Definitely, ma'am. I want to take this up. I want to expand this field. And this is a contribution to the AI community. This neuro-chaos learning. So definitely, I want to see that can we use more concept from physics to machine learning and develop it further. So yeah, I'm looking into some of these ideas. And right now with Dr. Nitin, we're also looking at can we use fractals for learning some of these ideas. We were looking at it. Yeah. But definitely,
thank you, Hari, and do always come to NIAS.
Yeah,
I guess from Goa, it's not very far.
Yeah,
once again, hearty congratulations to Hari, who will soon be Dr. Harikrishnan.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Sangeeta, for those very warm words and of encouragement and praise. I think we can now open up. I don't see Snehanshu. Is Snehanshu online? Does it look like, right? He said he's traveling. No, I don't see him. Okay,
he was here, Nitin. I think he just
he said he's going to join, but then he has to travel after some time. So
yeah, no, he was there. He was there. I think now he perhaps left. Yeah.
I think we can now open up to the larger audience. I mean, there are a few people here there are some people online and a few people here. So any questions here, please feel free to ask. Is there something in the chat? One second, just open up. No. Oh, okay. Snehanshu is just message saying he's traveling, so he has to leave now. Okay. Okay. Any questions in the audience here? Anand, yeah, please come.
First of all, congratulations, a really fantastic piece of work. I think the neurons publication is really a recognition of the fundamental nature of the work, combining the notion of causality with this neuro-chaos learning, because that's a very non-obvious fact, and that is the reason that they have accepted that. I'm actually quite curious about that also. I had just one question. I think the examiner is also, one of the examiners has been curious about it. Not a full proof or anything, this connection between universal approximation and neuro-chaos. It's a very interesting point, so maybe 2-3 sentences about it. That would be interesting.
You can just repeat the question so that you record it. Huh? Just repeat the question.
Yeah. The question is the connection between the universal approximation theorem and the proof that we have shown using NL. Right? So let me just.
Yeah, nothing detailed. Just.
Yeah. So. So basically, the d of f comma 0, right, that's a distance metric. So you can say that, if let's say this f of I, this summation, right, less than epsilon means they have okay. Yeah. So basically, let's say you have a signal, okay, a discrete time signal of a say length L. So that means you have L points, right? Now you have L neurons. So all these neurons have initial activity, and remember these are chaotic neurons. So these chaotic neurons exhibits the property of topological transitivity. That means what? So formally it means that let's say you have a dynamical system D, which is a transformation from X to X. The mathematical definition of topological transitivity is that there are non-empty open subsets U and V in X, such that f raised to k of u intersection v is not a null set. That means on finite number of iteration, if you take a point from u, you will reach the neighborhood of v. So yeah, so you start from any initial value and you can reach infinite number of iterations the neighborhood of that value. So like that you can so you give me a number, I'll give you an epsilon. Sorry, you give me a function, I can give you end of yes.
Thank you, Hari. Any other questions? Hema, you had something? Please. Yeah, okay.
So the feature vectors, they were all safe from the data sets. For FST, I thought the feature vectors
Hari, you should come here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reprocessing.
Slides I saw that FSD had more number of
Yeah. So okay. So in the case of FSTD, right, we did this Fourier pre-processing. So we took the data, we did the FFT, and then we applied this NL. So then from there we have firing time, firing rate, energy, entropy. Like, yeah. So one pre-processing followed by this.
So that was not the same.
That was not the same for the other data set. So the Fourier pre-processing part was not there.
Yeah. So yeah, Karthik, go ahead.
So what the limitation of this work is like, right now for image data set, like it takes a lot of time, computational lot of computational time it takes to do for image data sets. And there are some assumptions that we are making. If you look at this data, we are seeing each of the features are independent. Like, because every neuron is not coupled. There's no coupling between neurons. So each of them are independent. So that is a problem when it comes to image data sets, because if you have an image, right, there are high correlation between the pixel values. That assumption won't hold. So for that's why we need like work on using coupled maps, coupled chaotic maps to solve the problem.
So if there was noise in the images, this won't hold. Is that what you're saying?
Not that, not about noise in the image. What I'm trying to say is that, suppose let's say you have variables that are dependent, right? Like x1, x2. Let's say height and weight, they're dependent, right? But the algorithm assumes they're independent. So that assumption is not true, right? In reality. Yeah. So for how to overcome that, we have to use coupled maps. Then again, there are other issues. You have to feel the coupling coefficients and all this stuff to figure out.
Okay. Any more questions? That look like. Okay. Yeah. Just for the record, Archana has already asked the questions, and the other examiner did not have any questions, and he has given a glowing recommendation for the thesis. I thought I should state that. Okay. If there are no more questions, then Archana, so do you want to have a closed door Viva Voce examination? Or? So you're satisfied with his thesis, his responses? Okay. Then I think we can. I think we should now. I think if you're okay with it, we should declare that he has passed the examination successfully, and we can call him Dr. Harikrishnan formally. Okay, I think yeah. So that's all I had. It's very difficult for me to say anything about Hari, so I think I'll get emotional. So I'll not say anything more. So we continue to work together, and yeah. So it's yeah. So congratulations, and yeah. So thank you all for coming, and I think we'll end the presentation now. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Patnaik.
Oh, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Professor Nitin.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't spend much time. I told I am in the midst of a selection committee meeting. Okay.
Thank you for being online, sir. That's
yeah. Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a wonderful.
Thank you, Professor Sangeeta. We'll call it a day, right? Yeah.
Nitin, and yeah.